You saw the game-winning play once, but have to replay it 3 times on the way back to the hotel. Because some moments don't end at the buzzer. Life's a trip. Make the most of it at Best Western. Book direct and save at bestwestern.com.
Ugh, you said you were over him, but his hoodie is still in your rotation. It's time. Grab your phone, snap a few pics, and sell it on Depop. Listed in minutes with no selling fees. And just like that, a guy 500 miles away just paid full price for your closure. And right on cue.
Hey, still got my hoodie?
Nope. But I've got tonight's dinner paid for. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste. List now with no selling fees. Payment processing fees and boosting fees still apply. See website for details.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wrestling Draft.
Here on the Wrestling Draft YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast from in the audio realm. I am one of your hosts today, Scott McLeod, and we are here to look over the first week and a bit of scoring. We did our special, if you haven't checked it already, or look at the different teams for this season earlier last week, but right before scoring kicked off, and immediately got criticised by literally everybody in the draft, and because again we were doing it right before Monday Night Raw. But now we've had a week and a bit, we've taken trips across the US over to Australia, and we're back again, and we're here to look at what's going on as we're on the road towards both Revolution and Elimination Chamber and ultimately WrestleMania, as we look at who's signing out over the first week. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and not start calling a winner just yet. These first weeks of scoring never usually give us a full idea of who's going to win. But joining me to look at all these teams and all the analysis is, of course, David Hockney. Hello, Dave.
How's it going, Scott? Oh, I'm a little sore today, to be honest. Like, not just physically, but emotionally as well, given that me and Stacey haven't really sort of kicked off the fun draft that we were promising ourselves.
Well, I'm sure Stacey is happy he's back down to where he is used to being in the draft. I don't know about you. So I think it's just a difference of opinion in terms of your placement, but we can come back to that after we look at the top 3 scorings all the week. Well, actually, remember at 3, we've got a tie. 4, 5 people are tied for 6 points. Solo Sikoa, Rhea Ripley, MJF, Io Sky, and Ethan Page. Now,
My guy, Ethan.
Did have title matches recently, but they were on TV. Rhea Ripley also had TV title defense, but was also not in this week of scoring when she qualified for the Chamber as well, or was that before scoring began?
I think that was just before scoring began.
I'm just thinking if it was during scoring, then I would have expected her to be a lot higher.
Yeah, I think Rhea Ripley's is because of a tag title defense with Io on SmackDown against Nia and Lash.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. She's, of course, on the Jameson's team. More about them soon, but also that's why Io Sky is there, and Sosako obviously in there as well. So, decent kind of people you probably expect to be amongst there, but also just ahead of them, also with a title defense, is Jade Cargill on 7 points, and just ahead of her is Jon Moxley on 8 points. This is despite, yes, he did retain the title, but it was a time limit draw against Konosuke Takeshita. But of course, Jon Moxley, as I said before, is probably one of the more sought after people for AEW scoring, especially in a season like this, and it's already being clear why he's at the top of the table.
12.5 points in the first week of scoring. I think it just goes to show Moxley is the MVP of scoring when it comes to drafting, and I think any team that gets him is going to go off to a flying start, even especially if he's holding a championship, because he is effectively the guy in AEW at the minute, and that's saying something. When MJF is the one holding the world title, like Moxley is the one that they can always count on as the reliable veteran. But let's not take anything away from Willow Nightingale as well. Retention of the TBS championship puts her just half a point behind him as well, and as a double champion, there's definitely more potential for points to be had, but also more potential for points to be lost. So I think it's definitely a bigger risk to take Willow at this stage, but Moxley for who was it that picked Moxley again? Was it the think tank or was it?
That'll be the think tank of Stephen Gary, who also have put the captaincy on him.
Yeah, that makes sense. So with the captaincy on him, he's got 23 points overall, miles ahead of their remaining picks so far, and is proving to be an early juggernaut so far.
Yeah, not just he's wrestling that's got on points, he's also made appearances, like he was out there with the Death Riders when poor Wheeler Yuta got his head shaved.
Finally.
Jade Cargill is part of Roscoe's team with David Campbell.
She finally did something.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they may have considered early on putting the captaincy on Jade, because I think while she may have not done much last season, she's already done more, like you said, this season so far with the title defense over Jordan Grace, which also didn't do my team any favors, but I could see this coming as a bump. It's more for me what Jordan does after this. Seemingly not in contention to qualify for the chamber, so that hurts a little bit. But I think the fact that part of me wanted to, if she would put the captaincy, they would put the captaincy on Jade Cargill because she would defend the belt more than Stephanie might do in the next few weeks leading into Mania. Having said that, though, how infrequently Jade wrestles, it's a question of how much more in-ring stuff we see from Jade between now and in the lead up to WrestleMania.
No, honestly, I think the captaincy on Io Sky was probably the right thing to do if I was them, given that the women's tag titles are getting a lot more showcasing on the road to WrestleMania, because Rio has had 2 title defenses. Obviously, one didn't count because it was before scoring, but one defense against Kiana James and Julia, and the other against the aforementioned Nia Jackson Lash Legend. It makes you wonder, how many of these tag teams are they going to shoot through this season before maybe they get to the Bella Twins, and then, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But having Jade and Stephanie as the sort of 2 champions going into WrestleMania as well, I still think that puts them in a strong position. They just need some big wins on pay-per-view. But one thing to note about Roscoe is that Roxanne Perez has been written off temporarily because she had a benign mass removed from her back. So she's in recovery mode at the minute, and that will deter their Raquel Roxanne tag team for the foreseeable. So she could come back before WrestleMania, but there's no guarantee, as of yet.
Absolutely. It is unfortunate for them, and, we do wish the best to Roxanne. I think the word benign being in there is optimistic that she won't be out for too long, but it does mean that David very early on in the season had to sell Scylla, and it's very rough. You never sell Scylla. Looking also, you see Sol Sikoa in the tournament on 6 points as well. That's on the Vibe Nation team, and Matt Smith and Alan Lucas, who have Gunther as their captain. Now, Gunther was in a triple threat match with Javon Evans and Dominic Mysterio. Javon Evans ended up winning that match after Gunther was taken out by Dragon Lee coming with the bell. So, not going in the chamber as they would have hoped. And again, I don't want to immediately question people's captains on the first week, but I think if I were them now, when we were analysing our team, I should mention I completely forgot that the Usos were already advertised for a tag team title defence on the first Raw of scoring, which
against
won
Alpha Academy. You might as well just give them the points by that point.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But then again, immediately though, we're going to be the best tag team right after Jay goes right back to a singles thing and tries to qualify for the chamber, which is weird. They did have Gunther as a captain, and I can see why they did it, but I'm wondering if initially they could have put it on Willow, because not only has Willow defended the tag team titles in Australia at Grand Slam alongside Harley Cameron, but also she had a TBS title defense this week on Dynamite, so she's already making good use of the double title defenses, and obviously they're already getting the points for that, but you think that would be doubled even if it's on TV with captaincy applied.
It seems to be a running gag with this team here. You just don't know where the captaincy is meant to go, and obviously, there was Becky Lynch put in round 1 as well. The captaincy could have gone there, but the AJ Lee feud is starting to resurface a little bit. So there were options, but you never know. Reading as many predictions or dirt sheets or whatever, it can only take you so far. You got to make an educated guess here, and this time it just seems to have just fallen flat.
I should mention Sol Sikoa was in a multi-man tag match recently, I think. Yes, on SmackDown. So means I read that right, and that's why he's on 6 points. But yes, those are the top scorers of the week. Let's look at the actual team placement a week and a half into the season. David, as you mentioned, 19 points you and Stacey are both on. then Wayne Lowers. Then it's the people, Gary Morris and Robert Shaw Europel on 22 points, 25.5 points to Andy and JP.
Look, I've drew my inch cock.
Yes. They do have Cody Rhodes, who did very well to qualify for the Elimination Chamber. However, they did have both Tommaso Ciampa and Chris Statlander lose their titles on the same night, which is a major kind of balls. Plus Legend lost in the tag team title match. So,
talk about a howler of a week. But they could obviously bounce back because Dark State are defending the NXT tag titles against the Vanity Project on NXT. But Vanity Project seems to be making waves with Jackson Drake as the Evolve champion, so you never know. I mean, there could be a bit of a changing of the guard. And Dark State hasn't really done much outside of... who was it that was in the ladder match? Was that Dion Lennox?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed to be hot on him as the singles way. But yeah, Cody Rhodes, obviously their captain, winning last Friday to earn the spot in the chamber. I think that plus Paul Heyman's appearances and then upcoming Dark State defense, I think that's what's keeping them from being below. I think the comfort they can take is there's 2 teams below them.
Yeah.
But we were talking about how great it could be for those two to win their matches. I don't think we even considered they would both lose in the same night. So it's as bad as a start as you can get without somebody getting injured.
Start the season on -1 as well.
Just a half point ahead of them is me and Tom Brock with the Brock and Scott connection on 26 points. Then it's Roscoe on 27.5 points. Five Nation, Alan McLucas and Matt Smith on 45 points. A bit of a jump there. And then
the
we
team
have a tie.
with zero vibes, ironically.
Then we have a tie, though, with the Think Tank and the Jamesons on 46 points each. Now, one thing I was going to say is the only other worst thing that could happen to JP and Andy was somebody getting injured. Now, that did happen to the Jamesons, but they have managed to weather the storm so far. That is due in part to a title defense on NXT against the aforementioned Jackson Drake by Joe Hendry. So getting that into really Rhea Ripley doing well, obviously, with the title defense. Harley Cameron, another women's tag champ with the defense, and the Young Bucks won on Dynamite. I think that's to set up FTR versus the Bucks once again at Revolution. So AEW in particular this week was over them, but they had 3 people in around title scenes, all of which with big title match wins. So we talked about a bad start for champions and JP's team, but the opposite was happening with Jameson so far. So a hell of a start.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's I think the Rhea Ripley title defense is what's helped the Jamesons out massively. And I wasn't too sure about Joe Hendry, but the fact that he got an NXT title defense on TV, that's done the Jamesons a lot of favors. And obviously the Braun Breaker injury is a bit of a setback, but I think as long as Rhea Ripley keeps that momentum going and Joe Hendry holds the title all the way to Stand and Deliver, I think they could still be okay, but I imagine they're going to get overtaken at some point by predominantly the Think Tank, which I believe I had as I put them down as favourites to win, or I had them as the dark horse.
You think you put in the dark horse? You put my team down at
that was it, yeah.
Now, I'm playing the long game with my team because Liv Morgan's been still appearing across Raw and SmackDown. Dominic's been there alongside her. So appearance points wise, my team is doing well. Jordan, again, losing a title match was not ideal, but I'm looking forward ahead to the chamber where hopefully Tiffany wins. Also, Penta.
If Tiffany Stratton wins the chamber, I think you'll be back in contention.
Plus, Penta earned contention for the Intercontinental Championship, and I love Penta. But if Triple H can hold off and not pushing Penta for a while and let Dominic get a successful IC title defense in there, that would also be a lovely bit of help. I think Rhea and Joe will be the 2 people I really watch out for and help them carry and keep them at the top of the Jamesons, because Rhea is qualified for the chamber, as we said, the tag team titles. There's still a possibility of them running that into WrestleMania. Joe Hendry set up to defend, I believe, at Vengeance Day at the start of March against Ricky Saints, and then also be in the title scene in and around Stand and Deliver. So those are two to watch out for. Plus Don Callis, who, yes, he's only on 4 points so far, but that can definitely go up, because I think Don Callis, in terms of appearance point people, is somebody a lot of people want. I think there were quite a few people annoyed when the Jamesons got them. But Dave, that's all the first 2 weeks have affected the main league. How is the Listeners League getting on at the start of the season?
since it's a new season now, I think we've got to discuss some of the Listeners League team names before we jump into the top five. And I was just having a browse. So we do have some returning names. We have Ross McCluskey with Hiroshi Tanahashi Brownie. We have Stuart Cowie with the Learning Tree. David Jindoyan with Big Meaty Men Slapping Meat. But we have some new team names in this as well. So we have Shane McDermott with the McMahon Files. We have Ross Henderson with Harvey Barnes is coming home. Not really sure what that refers to. Sam has La Facion Muy Gobernable. I think that's how it pronounces it. Simon Bell, Zane Event Mafia. Big Alan Laurie, Listeners Leaguer from day one-ish. His team name is What's Next? A Fetus winning the league. Clearly not salty about Eve winning last one. We have Jonathan Napier, who I think has probably got the best team name of the Listeners League. It is the American Draheem, if you know, you know. Aidan Scott, the Young Schmucks. Ticker, All In on Live. Stacey Love, Say Their Name. Lee McAteer, JP's Love Child. But we'll go into our top five. And joint fourth this week, actually. It's quite a tight contest we have so far. It's the aforementioned David Jindoyan with Big Meaty Men Slapping Meat, and Ross Brady with Live and Let Die, spelled L-I-V. Very clever, Ross. Funnily enough, both have got Liv Morgan as their round one pick, and I think I'm going to say, third place on 39.5, Nikki Presland with Dwayne The Rock Paper Scissors. I think Nikki's a bit of a new name added to the table. No sign of Liv Morgan, but they have Rhea Ripley, The Vision, Sol Ruka, MJF, Gunther, and Carmelo Hayes. Very eclectic mix, shall we say, but I've got words about Melo, but I'll save that for another day. You know, maybe get past the Elimination Chamber qualifier and then maybe the story will change. But then we have second place, tied with John Sly. Joint first, I should say, overall. Both on 42. It's John Sly, Anthony Fitzpatrick. Team names, Where's Sammy for John Sly? And Anthony's team name, Main League Didn't Complete It, Mate. So, yeah, former Premier Leaguer Anthony Fitzpatrick not quite making the cut this time, so it's back to the Listeners League with you. So Anthony's team consists of The Vision, Don Callis, Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, Paul Heyman, and Harley Cameron. Looks like the captaincy's been put on either Don Callis or the Vision for this one in particular. And John Sly's team consists of, funnily enough, Liv Morgan. But he's went with a different approach for the Vision. He's taken Bronson Reed as a solo. He's also taken the Usos, Dominic Mysterio, the OG El Grande Americano, and Tiffany Stratton. Now, if my prediction from earlier does go through, and Tiffany is the favourite to win the Elimination Chamber, I think John is in a very good position to get off the ground. But I think he's going to need backing up in the form of some Usos title defences and Dominic Mysterio to defend the Intercontinental title as well.
Yeah, definitely. Carmelo is in the qualifier coming up, so I'm sure
which I think Trick might be winning, actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so confident, but hopefully he'll get back to the US title defense. It is a thing sometimes where, like, as I said, he had 5 in a row last season, and then
that's why I chose him as well. I assumed he was just going to keep
somebody
it going.
with that success, and then you go into the very next season, and then it just stops.
I even put the captaincy on him. That's how much trust I had in him to get these US title defenses going to go.
Oh well, what can you?
We shouldn't be in last place if that trend were to continue. In fact, I think we'd probably be, at least somewhere in the middle. But there is Ethan Page is defending the North American title next week against Miles Bourne, and JC Jane is defending against Sol Ruka. So, there's still a bit of leeway to be had.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, they've been building up the Miles Bourne thing, so I'd worry about that Ethan Page defense. Obafemi still making appearances, but
come on, Oba, get the finger out.
Any actual matches as well?
I know, but I mean, he's double branding at the minute, so I suppose appearance points it'll start to pile up. But I think he's got a match with Kit Wilson on SmackDown this week, so.
Well, there's some guaranteed points.
Yeah, I think as long as he just starts getting matches on the go, that's going to be the important factor. And I really hope that he signs with SmackDown above all else. I think they need like a new challenger for Drew, and given what happened at the last Saturday night's main event, there is roots been planted.
I was looking at your team. Also, I mentioned who else you've got there. Now, the guys that are a couple points ahead of you, Guy Morrison and Robert Shaw, they do have Saul Ruka. So I'm sure that they're hoping for our win for Saul to help open that gap a little more, get them a bit more ahead of you. And they're probably hoping for Drew and Jacob to do a bit more on TV because otherwise to help them get up the table just a little bit more.
See, that's the thing, a lot of the teams are on single digits with all their picks, but they're consistent across the board. And, getting at least 20 odd points or so within the first week for every team, I think that's still pretty good. But there's obviously, going to be larger performers than others, your likes of your Rhea Ripley's, your John Moxley's, your Willow Nightingales, that sort of thing. Like, they're going to have, an early push right out the gate when it comes to scoring. But wait until the pay-per-views start to stack up, the AEW ones in between, the NXT ones in between it, and then you start to see the gap sort of slowly closing in, and you might have a more competitive season than you originally think. So the first week's not a lot to go on, but it does have some early front runners within the first couple of spots.
Yeah, I was going to say about who you think some of the what are you thinking of some of the early scores and some of the picks? Because there are only a handful like your Rhea Ripley's and your John Moxley's are some of the only people to be in 20 odd points. Everybody else is on most points are on single. I mean, Liv Morgan is our captain; she's on 14 points, but all of that is appearances so far. Obviously,
I think what would be extremely helpful is if Oba is the last person to qualify for the Elimination Chamber and gets at least 3 eliminations. He could get rid of LA Knight, he could get rid of Javon Evans. Hell, he could even take out Randy Orton. And, if Cody's the one that's scheduled to win, that can be a sort of stamp on what could have been the result at Saturday night's main event.
I'm looking at both the Jamesons and the Think Tank. Obviously, looking at who will be the big person around WrestleMania, obviously you do have on the Jamesons, Rhea Ripley and Joe Hendry. So WrestleMania weekend, those two will be in big positions. Braun, I think more information we find out is looking like he won't be at WrestleMania at all.
No, because his hernia, a hernia takes a while to recover. And when I say a while, I mean at least a couple of months.
Mm-hmm. Whereas in the next couple of weeks also, we do have Elimination Chamber at the end of the month. And CM Punk is on the Think Tank's team with a title defense against
Finn Balor.
Finn Balor, yeah. And trying to think who else on the women's side is qualified for the chamber.
So it's currently Tiffany, Rhea, Asuka, and Bayley, I believe.
Oh no, Bayley's in a qualifier. I know Lyra lost a qualifier recently. But they've also got Charlotte and Alexa as well in their team. But
it's Alexa, Rhea, Charlotte, Asuka, I think.
I think so. So looking at John
and
Moxley,
Tiffany.
Punk and Moxley are big title matches coming up on pay-per-view, so I think those might give the slight edge to the Think Tank there, but there's still room for people to catch up early. Like I said, this is never usually a indication of who's going to win the season, unless it's a very short one like it was last season. So that is interesting.
The elimination chamber is going to be the turning point of this season. I think that'll cement the favourites going into WrestleMania, but it doesn't guarantee the victor.
Yeah, because a lot of people have gotten people who are regularly featured on TV, but it's because they're doing triple threats for all the qualifiers. So if you've got a winner on your team, good, but then everybody else is getting negative points because their guy, even if they're not pinned, is getting beat in the qualifier. But yeah, the Elimination Chamber will give a big indication because that helped David Campbell and Ross last season, because also I think they had Bianca Belair on the team, but they also had Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan had a hell of a run in the chamber, but even when Bianca Belair won, it still benefited them. Then Liv going on to win the tag team titles really helped them. So the chamber will be a major thing. I think also Cody Rhodes, I think we mentioned, is a main contender for the chamber. So I believe Andy and JP will be wanting that to help get them at the lower end of the table as well. So
yeah,
there's a gap between.
Listen, if they just put Obafemi in the number 6 spot and he signs with SmackDown, I would be delighted to see him in the chamber and just cause havoc.
Like a 15-point gap between 4th and the top 3. So that gap will change dramatically, I think, after the Chamber. Because like I said, I don't think there'll be anybody who's that low scoring in the end. I think there's a lot of great teams on paper. It's just the shame that a few people's teams are taking a little while to get out the blocks going forward. Like Liv Morgan at the moment is like appearing on both shows, which is great, but she's steadily like teasing who's she going to go. I mean, I think if it wasn't clear already, I think this week's Raw kind of all but confirms that she's probably going to go for Stephanie. Yeah, I think it's all but confirmed. But even though they're not announcing it, but I think it's the winner of the women's chamber against Jade Cargill, because I think they've already confirmed the winner of the chamber goes against Drew because Roman's made history. Now Roman hasn't appeared on any Raws, but they do have announced at least 5 shows between now and Mania that he will appear on. Plus, he'll be on Mania. If he feels like it, maybe a cheeky appearance at Elimination Chamber wouldn't be go amiss either. There, Roman. But,
I don't know. Maybe, yeah. I mean, he could have a stare off with Punk if he defends the title against Balor.
I mean, it was interesting. We did our show talking about, because we were doing our last show right before the first Raw of the season. I didn't expect Roman to be on that show, obviously. But then, literally, like a couple hours after we stopped recording, somebody posted in our chat a list had been put out of all of Roman's appearances, also to drive up people like, oh, come and see Roman Reigns, obviously. And like 3 of these 5 shows are all in a row. And so now, Jesus, he's almost a full schedule, 3 in a few.
I know, his schedule for the Road to WrestleMania has been published, so you can sort of get an idea of how many appearances he's going to make over the course. So I think you and Tom picking Roman Reigns at this point of the season, probably a wise call for round 6.
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as to bear in mind, he's a round 6 pick that we've got there. So, obviously, we'll check back on these scores closer to the chamber. But is there anything else you want to say about these teams, compared to what we were talking about because we gave our initial opinions before scoring started in our last episode. And of course, yes, we said the Jamesons would be bottom of the table. Now, they started up top, but when you're at the top, the only place you can go is down. So things can go wrong. We've seen it happen to great players and great teams on paper in the past. But do you have any initial thoughts after this first week of scoring compared to what you had before?
All I'll say is I'm just waiting for a lot of things to happen. Like, I want to see an Ethan Page defense against Miles Bourne. I want to see JC Jane retain against Sol Ruka. I want to see Oba Femi in Elimination Chamber. And for the love of God, Carmelo, get the US title opportunities back on. Come on, we need some freaking points here.
I think what's really holding your team back is the lack of Bellas, and I think what you really need is
yes, thank you. Yeah, oh my gosh, like, I get we're in a team, and the Bellas did call out that they were going to capture the women's tag title, so we had a justifiable reason, but my God, they're really making it difficult.
Who would have thought Dave would be begging for some more Bellas on WWE TV? But
weirder things have happened.
Those are the initial scores. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below, or let us know on social media at wrestling_draft. Congratulations to the Jamesons for starting off so strongly. We'll see how that momentum goes going forward. But I have some worries about the think tank. They seem like a strong team, but everybody is still in with a chance. May the odds be ever in your favour to all of our fellow competitors listening, and to all of you in the Listeners League who are listening and hoping to join us next season, because next season you'll be joining us for a marathon, not a sprint, because next season is one of our more longer seasons, going all the way along to SummerSlam, and that includes also Money in the Bank, and now includes possibly Clash in Italy as well.
Clash at the Colosseum.
Yes.
Wait, sorry, it's in Turin, not Rome.
Yes.
So, but you get the idea.
Yes. Dave doesn't know anything about Italy. That's what I'm getting here.
I've only been once. Give me peace.
Ooh, look at me. I've been on holiday. But, yes, thank you all for checking out. Good luck to everybody competing. We move forward on to the Elimination Chamber. As you may have heard when I was on the selection show, I am finishing up as a host after this season. So, unfortunately, I wanted to have a series, like numbers in the corner of every episode to count down my appearances, much like John Cena, and because I've only got 10 weeks left as host of this show. But Stephen said it was not in the budget, And by that, I mean he didn't want to spend any money at all on me. And that just goes to show how you're treated after, all that time of work. I said to him, after all this, so long, good luck. Steven said, I don't recall saying good luck. So, that's what you get for all your years of effort talking about draft teams. But, well, make every appearance count. We're on the road to WrestleMania. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for my co-host, David Hockney.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all back here to look at the latest scores next week. Same draft time, same draft channel.
What is natural? When you read natural flavors on a label, most people don't realize it's often not real food at all. Those hidden ingredients quietly work against how your body feels and functions over time. That's why Just Ingredients uses only real food ingredients, so you know exactly what you're putting in your body. Stop guessing. Start knowing at justingredients.us.